Next thing we're going to detail is the Speed Week situation. Now, Florida Speed Weeks, it's been kicked off, but it's really kicking off now. We're through the Chili Bow string. Just had the World Outlaw late models down there at Volusia, and now we are moving on into the schedule. Of course, this weekend, possibly going to be the biggest 360 event in a long time at Volusia. This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, American Sprint Car Series. Yes, ASCS, of course, acquired last year by the World Racing Group when they went belly up, kind of, it seemed. And we're also thinking that's a slight to potentially have Dirt Vision eventually take over the Chili Bow. You notice they did the whole Emmett Hahn Award for ASCS. Brian Carter went down there, buttered him up. And that's a big money maker. Obviously, what was it, Flo? I think you showed me, Flo, they broke the records. No, you didn't show me. Clark did. Clark calls me every now and then. Flo broke all the records for viewing audience. Apparently 140,000 unique streamers throughout the week. You could do the math there on that, but that's a big money maker if Dirt Vision could eventually acquire that. And I think getting in with ASCS, of course, the Hans running the half of the event, the Edwards the other half. That's a good little way to slippery slope your way up in there. So, hold on. What?
Was that an all-week number?
That was an all-week number, yes. 140,000 unique, which means 140,000 subscriptions, basically, tuned in, unique viewers.
Why did Saturday show, 75,000 or something on YouTube when Flo went down?
Right. Well, there were 75,000 for the one Saturday night, but there are potentially some people that just tuned in and checked it out for 5 minutes and tuned out and never watched it again. You know, I mean, some wrestling people or whatever, they just tuned in and tuned out. It wasn't there. They didn't like it, for instance. So, yeah, there was 75,000 on YouTube, but as far as Flow Racing, Flow Sports app, going to the Chili Bows events, at any point throughout the week, it was 140,000 subscribers that did so. But regardless, ASCS, once again, that could be a thing. The reason World Racing Group acquired ASCS was potentially the long game of maybe taking over the streaming rights of the Chili Bow, which is a big money ticket, especially when the Dirt Vision subscription, although the Flow Racing went up $30. It's $174 or $79.99. It's $25 or $30 more. I believe it's $30 more now. But Dirt Vision's still $349, I think, right? It's not cheap like Flow is. So that'd be huge numbers, huge money potentially in the long-term investment trying to get in with the Hans here. So regardless, ASCS now moves to Dirt Car Nationals. This is the official first date of the Dirt Car Nationals. 3 nights, ASCS and UMP Modified Racing. Danny Dietrich is scheduled to be here. Macedo's scheduled to be here. Carson Bowden, the hot shoe, we're hoping to take over the world from Texas. We discovered last year, did so well in his first Chili Bowl appearance. He is not going to be there. Apparently him and everybody down there in Texas is coming down with some kind of flu. Maybe it was something that the left came out with now. They're undercover. We're in this political war. But regardless, there's just a bunch of guys. Ryder LaPlante's going to be over there. Your typical ASCS roster is going to be there. I would suggest or assume you're probably going to have anywhere from 50 to 60 360 sprint cars this weekend at Volusia. Of course, if we don't go to this event, we will be right here every night talking about it. If we are there, we'll probably get our ass kicked by somebody. Schoenberg will be there, fucking Clinton Boyles, all the little cliques and everybody down there. They have probably hate me. You gonna call Caitlin a bitch? Pow! I'll get that once or twice. But regardless, this is the event this weekend. If you're a sprint car fan, this is huge. This is going to be an amazing, amazing event. If you're a late model guy, we're kind of going to go down the list here, and there are some events from East Bay that have changed to some new locations that are traditionally big events, and I think they need some notoriety. For the late model fans this week, you have All-Tech. All-Tech is going to be running this same dates here. Hold on, let me get this up here. Yeah, Wednesday is the first night with opening practice, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday is going to be the All-Tech race. So obviously All-Tech, big, wide, always puts on good racing. This is the Lucas Oil dates. Very, very intriguing, to say the least. So that's going to be this weekend's event. You got the sprint cars at Volusia. and you have the Super Late Models Lucas Oil Tour at Alltech. So this will be your flow race. That'll be your Dirt Vision race. And then going into the next week, it's kind of interesting what happens going into the next week. The Sprint Cars, World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, will kick off their schedule Wednesday, February 5th. Obviously, they'll be racing over there Monday and Tuesday with just the modifieds at Volusia. I'm sure that'll be on Dirt Vision. But there's also some late model races going on with Lucas, and that's the first shift of the new East Bay events. We'll be talking about that here in just a second. But you have the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, 4 days straight of World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series racing action to kick off the 2025 season. And on Saturday, you'll also have, I think they run 8 races. Look, the UMP Modifieds, they do like this thing where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, 9 nights. They do a championship on the final night. That'll be Saturday, February 8th. Saturday, February 8th will be the Gator Championship and the final night for the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series. So it's kind of funny. You know, we have these big NASCAR names come and run a modified, and they do this format to where I think it's by the last 2 days, they separate them into like rankings. And so there's like features, but they're really not features. They call them all a feature, but it's really like F mains, E mains, D mains, C mains, but it's not called that because nobody technically transfers. It's just that's where your rank is at. They get kind of like a point system going, and then you'll have like Joey Logano win a feature, ooh, but it's really like a F fucking main, and he's in a Longhorn chassis, running against a bunch of guys who are out there with 15-year-old equipment just trying to, you know, go around the track. But regardless, that's the situation the following week. Now, on the same weekend, after Alltech, the Lucas Oil Series shifts over. Actually, we could go right here. Lucas Oil Series shifts over. So this is very interesting. So they go through the weekend on the 30th, 31st, and 1st this week here at Alltech. And then on the 3rd, which is next Monday, the traditional East Bay late model. We need to zoom this in or out just a little bit. The traditional East Bay Lucas Oil race with the late models every year shifted technically this year to Ocala. So Bubba's Raceway, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure if Bubba's still in it or not. I think he may have got out. Not sure. Don't quote me. But they shift over to Ocala because this is kind of like the week when the sprint cars are at Volusia. Traditionally, the late models have been at East Bay. They kind of separate the fan bases. One fan base on the west side of Florida, the other fan base on the east side of Florida, because Daytona, Volusia is more so on the eastern side of the state. And East Bay, of course, was on the east side or on the west side. Ocala is still somewhat on the west side, but not all the way to the ocean or the bay like East Bay was. But you see here, they'll have practice on Monday. They'll be racing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Ocala with the late models. And that's going to be 7, 10, or 7, 7, 10, 12, 25. Very similar to the East Bay Winter Nationals that we have been used to seeing every single year. But once again, East Bay no more. Another event that is very interesting in this East Bay is no more is the traditional huge King of 360s event that we're used to seeing at East Bay, the 360 sprint cars. That has now shifted, and this is on the same week, and this is a big battle. I mean, it's kind of hard to schedule races down there. Everybody wants a date. But the East Bay Raceway Park, the King of 360s, it used to be called, I believe, the Ronald Laney Memorial, because Ronald Laney lost his life at East Bay. I'm not seeing that labeling here technically. But this race now has moved to the quarter mile of Hendry County Motorsports Park. I've heard that this is now $15,000 to win, but it's for sure $10,000 to win. They're also having $3,000 to win mod lights and $3,000 to win non-wing outlaw micros. So this is the big 360 event. So if you got a 360 sprint car and you're going to Volusia this week and you're thinking, I already talked to a few teams. They're like, yeah, we're just going for the 360 race. I'm like, okay, are you going to King of 360s? It's $10,000 to win the next week. It starts Thursday. What? There's that race. So this race has kind of been like under the radar. They're calling it the 6th annual Sugar Bowl, which used to be for the Mod Lights. They used to have a big Mod Light, or they do have a big Mod Light show. But now it's integrated the King of 360s, which was traditionally a East Bay event, as we've been saying here. It is USCS sanctioned, which USCS used to predominantly be that 360 series in Florida during Speed Weeks. But now, because of ASCS and World Racing Group's alliance, Volusia now has the ASCS series. So this is an interesting event. Who knows who's going to be there? A lot of the bigger names we will see at Volusia this coming up weekend with the ASCS series, like your DeETROITs and your Macedos and all that. Of course, they have the 410s. We'll probably even see Gio Selzy and a few others with a 360. Who knows? But those guys are going to switch, put the 410s in, and just run the Outlaws. But for those who are 360 guys, or maybe don't have the 410 to especially keep up at Volusia, this is where they're going to go. They're going to go the following week to Hendry County Motorsports Park for the King of 360s, the Ronald Laney Memorial. Don't believe it's named that anymore, but this is the traditional big-time 360 race in the state of Florida. So that's going on the same time as the World of Outlaws at Volusia. This is also going on the same time as the late models at Ocala. So that's kind of your three segments: 360s, super late models, 410s. Those are the different areas. And, of course, Hendry County Motorsports Park, we have been to this track. This is the southernmost racetrack in North America. It is in Clewiston, which is down by Lake Okoboji or whatever, that famous lake of bass fishing in Florida. It's like a world-famous bass fishing area. But anyways, it's about 3 hours south of Ocala, 3.5 from Volusia. So it's kind of out of the way for some people, but it'll be interesting to see who all shows up in the pitting area for this big event that, once again, traditionally at East Bay, shifting now to Clewiston to put this show on, and also moved up a week because I believe traditionally this 360 race happened after the late models. But because, once again, everything's earlier this year because the NASCAR schedule moved up 1 week with the NASCAR Daytona 500. So everything is a week earlier than traditional times because of that move up. And now I guess, the only place to put this King of 360s event is at this time of the season. After this week, though, after this 6th, 7th, 8th weekend, which is not this weekend but the following, the next week is when everything kind of shifts over to Volusia to lead up to the Daytona 500. It starts on Monday, February 10th. You got the USAC sprint cars and the late models in town, or dirt car late models, which is the supers. This is the dirt car late models, once again, is the Eldor World 100 sanction. It's the Dream sanction. Some of your other big events that are not Lucas or World of Outlaw late models, most of the time they're a dirt car late model event. But traditionally, just Eldor is the bigger ones that you will know of that are dirt car. Those are going to be the first 3 nights will be dirt car events. The first 2 nights they'll be joined with the USAC sprint cars. That'll be entertaining. Wednesday, February 12th, will be with the Super Dirt Car Series. Big Block Modifieds roll in, and then they finish the week out. The next 4 nights, Thursday being joined with the World of Outlaw late models, and then they'll go 3 nights from there, 13th, 14th, and 15th with the World of Outlaw late models and Big Block Modifieds tandoing there. Very interesting events happening throughout this entire Speed Week, and there is actually one more race after that weekend, and that is down there at Hendry County Motorsports Park. Most people check out and leave after the Daytona 500. That's where everybody tries to cram these events in. But down there, the week after, there's a February 20th, 21st, and 22nd. This is the weekend after the Daytona 500. You have this Swamp Cabbage 100. It's like a $22,000 to win factory stock event down there at Hendry. $22,000 to the factory stocks, $15,000 it looks like to crate late models, and $10,000 to street stocks, and then $3,000 to 4.64s, which are those Crown Vics that are on going to be racing for $100,000 to win this year with XR Mayhem, that new $100,000. Did you see that, Sean? Yeah, they released. XR came out with a $100,000 to win Crown Vic event. What?
I said, wow.
Yeah, so the cop cars you thought you never wanted to see before, now you want to see them. I guess. But it's going to be $100,000 to win. That's an event coming up later this year with XR. They're doing some crazy things over there, but that's all right. Reward the working man. Forget about the highfalutin supers and 410 guys. Kiss my ass. They still have big events for them, but I'm just saying. So that's your last technical event of Florida Speed Weeks. 15, 22, and 10 and 3 for 4 racing divisions down there at Hendry County. So Hendry picking up the 360s, king of 360s, putting on this event for the 3rd year in a row. Interesting, that track down there. You really ain't ever heard about it, kind of outside of the area for most. But they're obviously putting on some big shows, paying some big money, trying to get some attention for the little track that they got down there. So that's going to do it for the Speed Weeks.